So Larian Studios is under fire from both indie and AAA companies, and one of the most bizarre conversations I've seen about an upcoming game. Basically, indies and AAA think the game might be too good, and they're worried people might judge their games because of it. Now, I want to thank Mr. Feelgood for bringing this to my attention, as this was not on my radar at all. He talks about it on his channel, so go check it out. Okay, so basically in a nutshell, there is an independent game dev who threw out a tweet preemptively defending him and others against the success of Baldur's Gate 3 and how it could potentially up the standards for the genre, similar to every genre-defining game that's ever come out until the next genre-defining game comes out after that, the way games evolve. Now, in his original tweet, he says,
"Like a lot of people, I'm deeply excited about what the lovely folks at Larian accomplished with Baldur's Gate 3, but I want to gently, preemptively push back against players taking that excitement and using it to apply criticism or raise standard to RPGs going forward."
He then cites qualifiers on why Larian is an anomaly, one being that they had a long development time since 2017, just 2 years less than Cyberpunk 2077, which did wonders for CD Projekt Red, the 11 years it took Diablo 3 to be made, which worked great for Blizzard, but long dev times can also hurt your game. Look at Duke Nukem Forever. The fantastic game Alan Wake, which didn't do as well as it should have because of its very long development time. He says they have a worth of tech and institutional knowledge to draw from, citing Divinity, Original Sin, and Original Sin 2, similar to Bethesda when they released Skyrim, or CD Projekt Red when they released The Witcher 3, Bungie and Halo 3, Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto 5, all Nintendo brands. Anyone who's made multiple games draws on the knowledge of their past games. And sticking to what you know, genre, or engine, is in no way anomalous. He continues with successful early access period lasting 3 years that provided Larian with community feedback, bug hunting, and cash flow. Yeah, sounds like a good strategy to me. Welcome to indie development. If you can deliver the product you say you're going to deliver through early access, you'll be rewarded. If you can't, you'll be buried. Then he says, huge team of over 400 developers across 7 offices, which started with 50. So with the success of this project, Larian has grown and employed more devs. Bravo. And then a popular talking point I keep seeing people bring up, they have the license for one of the largest entertainment IPs, Dungeons and Dragons, which we all know guarantees success, similar to how well the Golem game did, because they're able to make a game based off of one of the most popular IPs on the planet. This is why everyone has great things to say about this game. And most of the feedback that he's received from the gaming community is about what you'd expect. People want great games, and they want to reward people who make great games. But some really interesting feedback was received from other indie devs and AAA, like from Rebecca Harwick, saying,
"I hope Baldur's Gate 3 is a generous once-in-a-lifetime RPG. I hope no one expects a 10, 20, 40-person team to make one."
Don't worry, Rebecca, they don't. People love indie games, people love small, dedicated teams. And as long as you make something fun, people won't care how small your dev team was. In fact, if it's fun, people will love you even more for it. Gamers can differentiate the difference between a AAA quality game, I know this is an indie game technically, and an independent game. I will play Baldur's Gate 3 and continue to play Solasta, and I think most people who are open to playing indie games will as well. Now, some people from Insomniac, Obsidian, and Blizzard chimed in on how they think you should think about a game that's been made well, and how it could set an unfair standard of expectations for their games, in which to any AAA studio worried about Baldur's Gate 3's quality and reception possibly making them look bad, it's time to give your consumers what they want. We exist in a time where AAA games come out more buggy and unfinished than indie games, and so I have no sympathy for you wanting to defend yourself from another wake-up call. And so your opinion on how we should receive this game and how that affects the way we see your games is nothing but very transparent on your behalf, unrealistic, and really Weasley. The only anomaly here is that the indie dev Larian Studios has built up a fan base by pumping out high-quality, amazing games that respect their fan base's time, and because they're able to make those games, they get to make this game. And if you're preemptively worried about this game and how it may make you look, maybe it's time to rethink your strategy. Let me know what you think in the comments below when it comes to Larian Studios and this ridiculous topic. I mean, that's kind of the bizarre thing about this Baldur's Gate 3 controversy. Like, yeah, the game looks amazing. The attention to detail is insane. The passion and dedication to creating the best game Larian's ever made is 100% there. But this game is a specific genre, always been niche. And all this controversy is going to bring attention to that, and there will become new fans of it. But that's such a diverse group of devs, from indie to AAA, are worried about how this game's going to reflect onto their games. Just reminds me of Woody's nightmare from Toy Story.
Oh, I forgot. You're broken. I don't want to play with you anymore.
I personally can't think of a better endorsement. Well-known to unknown devs, saying essentially, your game is so good, it's gonna make my game look bad. Please don't make it too good. Anyone who plays this game, please understand that all games can't be this good. Did they do this on purpose? Wow, Baldur's Gate 3 looks really good. Oh, thanks, I made it myself. Yeah, I love what you're doing. Maybe I can help get the word out. Oh, I appreciate that, but it's fine. No, I insist. No, you don't gotta make a scene. Hey, everybody, Larian has less resources than us, and they're doing more with it. And now I'm worried this game might be too good. Maybe they should tone it down a little bit. Don't want to put all of us out of a job. You don't have to do that. What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 191 of the Tastecast, weekly podcast where we talk about all things gaming. We've got a short and sweet episode for you because we got to get out of here soon. We got a trip coming up. But in this episode, I talk about Remnant 2. I gush about Remnant 2. Stay tuned for that. We talk about the indie and AAA devs that had a conversation about Baldur's Gate 3. You guys saw it in the intro. We talk about that. We also react to Sandland, 12 minutes of gameplay and some interviews with the devs, but it's a little difficult to make out everything they're talking about there. Then we of course, we react to Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon gameplay preview that just dropped. It's well, stay tuned. We talk about in this episode, and then we read your guys' comments and reply to them. So yeah, make sure to like this video if you like what we're doing. Make sure to subscribe if you're brand new. Make sure to share this with your friends and all that stuff, and hopefully enjoy this episode. What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 191 of the Tastecast, our weekly podcast where we talk all things gaming. My name's Seth, and joining me today is Chevy. Chevy's been a little bit since we've done a Tastecast, but we're making up for it today. But it's going to be, hopefully, I always say this and it never is, hopefully it's going to be a shorter Tastecast because we're actually going to be flying out here soon in like 24 hours or something. And I need as much time as I can to prepare for that trip. But we're here. We're going to discuss a couple things, namely Armored Core. New video came out for that, so of course we have to react to that and then talk about the games we've been playing. I'm really excited to talk about one game. But with all that, how you doing? You excited to go on vacation?
Yes.
Same. Anyone who follows the channel knows that every week we talk about how we're tired, we've been working more lately, going to the gym, all that stuff. It's been a regular thing last 2 months, mostly, and definitely starting to hit me in the last 2 weeks myself. So,
yeah, that sentiment seems to be kind of across the board at work too. So
yeah, I can't wait for summer to be over work wise.
But no, I'm looking forward to going on a trip. It's been a little while, kind of spontaneous, but fortunately worked out. And then
barely,
yeah, and yeah, soon though we're not going to get a lot of sleep the first day. So
no, that's why I want to get this filmed, get it edited, get it uploaded, and get as much sleep as I can.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Outside of just being tired and whatever normal stuff lately, I'm excited to get a Tastecast out. It's been a little bit. It's been 11, 12 days, which is crazy, but you guys understand things are in my personal life a little in flux, not in a bad way, just things are kind of shifting right now, so I'm trying to balance it. Yeah, and it'll get back to normal, but it's just been all over the place the last couple of weeks, so kind of an apology, but you guys understand. But yeah, doing good. Excited to have these conversations, and very excited to go on vacation because I feel like I really fucking need it. So, yeah. But with that, in the intro of this Tastecast, you didn't see it because you weren't there. I played.
See it when everyone else does.
My my TikToks of the Baldur's Gate 3 situation. I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that real fast. And for anybody who didn't watch the intro, basically. An independent dev came out and was essentially telling people to temper their expectations when it comes to other people's games after Baldur's Gate 3 comes out, saying essentially that you can't judge other indie games by the quality of this technically indie game that definitely is AAA quality, which is Baldur's Gate 3. After they made that and kind of went down the reasons why Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly, which if you watch that video, kind of go through and show how it's really not an anomaly in a lot of ways. AAA devs piggybacked on this guy, going oh, the reason we can't put 7 years into a game is because we got publishers that want the games to come out at a certain time. And in my opinion, I'm well, that's a different conversation you're trying to have at that point. I understand I sympathize a bit, but we can't really have the conversation you're trying to have because we need to talk about why the publishers are doing that. And then other people coming out saying you can't expect us to make games of this quality, basically. It's really kind of bizarre. And originally I wasn't even going to talk about it, but somebody on TikTok was like, hey, what do you think about this? I read what they said about it. I'm like, there's no way that's real. Looked into them, holy shit. how's this real? So hopefully you guys watch the intro, and hopefully you're informed enough to kind of throw your thoughts out there. You don't have to be super deep about it. You can go as deep as you want.
Yeah, let's see. I would first and foremost say that to be defensive before anyone has said anything is
Or done anything.
super strange to me.
Yeah.
If you think that people can't tell the difference between, how do I word this? Well, games in general, right? So, like, when I play smaller, like, indie games that have blown up, like, your Stardew Valleys or your Vampire Survivors and stuff like that.
Or Minecraft before it was bought by Microsoft.
Yeah, I don't look at those games and go, man, I really wish they had these like crazy graphics that these other games have, like, because that's like just not really the point. Versus like I play these games like, wow, dude, like one person made this game and put this much content into it and made their own style and all this stuff. Like that's the stuff at least that I notice, and I'm sure most gamers do. Otherwise, those games would not be as huge as they are. They're just simple, fun games. Well, I wouldn't say that they're a little past simple at this point, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then so something like it's hard to call it indie. I guess indie, AA, whatever you want to call it. Larian Studios. Yeah, they're publishing their own game. They took a long time on it, and they're going to release it, and people are going to judge it on it and possibly other games in the genre. But I'm not going to compare it to like a Call of Duty, for example. Like, that's not even the same thing. So,
Well, if anything, I feel like it should be an inspiration similar to CD Projekt Red in terms of being an independent developer at one point and then growing to something crazy. Larian started with I think when they first got together, there was like 50 people, which is quite a bit for an indie dev. But, they went from 50 to 400 in the time that they're at now. So all that hard work they've been putting into their games has grown into something crazy where they're making AAA quality games and they don't even have a publisher over them. That's something that if you strive for that, not every indie game needs to, like you just brought up examples. A lot of them don't strive for that, and they're very successful. I can name off so many successful. Rocket League is an indie game. There's so many examples of successful indie games that are not trying to be this AAA quality thing, but it can be done. So shows Larian. And so it's kind of crazy. And so like when I hear somebody from the indie side, because the sentiment I got a lot from a lot of people is either everybody's jealous, which I kind of don't want to go there, but it's weird that we're having this conversation. But a lot of people are like, well, people shouldn't judge indie games based off this game, but AAA, 100% they should. I'm like, I agree with you on the AAA for sure. The indie thing, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
What's the metric we're using? Like, where's the example? Right? Because there's only the opposite example of when we're talking about indie games, there's such a huge plethora of indie games out there that people judge based off of the ideas and the gameplay. And your game can look like complete shit. And if it's a cool idea and it's fun to play, people will buy the fuck out of it. And when we talk about small teams, because this guy brought it up, Larry's got a big team. Other people might have small teams. People like your game even more if you're like one dude to three people. Like I played BattleBit Remastered. When I found out that was 3 people, I was like, holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. And that was also like a slap in the face to DICE.
Because most people can recognize accomplishments, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Regardless of, the technical, aspects of something. Yeah. And then as far as like, talking about AAA, right? Like AAA is judged on a harsher level because those companies have the money and zero excuses to make bad products.
Money, experience, and resources, and pull on any devs they can get.
Yeah, and
or want.
Most of the time, when a bad game comes out from a huge studio, most people will usually bitch about the publisher a lot of times and not the dev, unless the dev has a track record.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair perspective for sure. Like a lot of people do take it up with EA or Activision first. How many excuses do people give it in BioWare? and just blame EA.
Sure. Same with CD Projekt Red, right? The devs, for the most part. I mean, there were some people obviously who were just like mad and blaming everybody, but most people were like
blaming the higher ups,
the publishers.
Yep.
The people publishing the game within the company were pushing and
shareholders
and stuff like that. And
Yep.
and they're the ones who got the majority of the vitriol. So. I don't know. I think being defensive that quickly, you're really kind of not in touch with the game community as a whole at that point. Because like outside of like the people on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called now, that's a echo chamber half the time. You shouldn't listen to half the shit on that website. So, but most people are understanding of situations and aren't stupid. So like, relax a little.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing this person is so detached from the gaming community that they actually believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
So when people try to get down to the nitty gritty of what he said, which I did in that video, I went from point to point. But when people were like, well, what he actually meant, I'm like, no, we can talk about it all day. I want to know what his intention was, right? Because the most I can give that guy is his take's goofy. That's it. And I could have left it there. But when AAA devs and other indie devs start hopping in and dogpiling on like, we don't want to get judged based off this game. Like, there's been other great AAA quality games that have come out in the past that you guys weren't doing this to. What's up with this game that's getting you all freaked out? And then in such a specific genre too.
Yeah.
This isn't going to hit for everybody. There's so many people who are not going to play this game because of the genre. But then
it's gonna be too slow for a lot of people.
It was ridiculous too, because like one of the things they blamed it on, the success of this, as if Larian's not a fucking proven and talented dev. Divinity Original Sin and Original Sin 2 are fantastic, and everyone who plays those games agrees. They set the standard for the genre, and that has earned them something. But people are like blaming it because they on that they have the D&D property, and you brought up a great point I used in my video that doesn't guarantee success. There's been plenty of bad D&D games, and then I brought up the Gollum game because Lord of the Rings is one of the most popular IPs on the fucking planet, and that game could not be saved by its brand at all.
Also, D&D doesn't have a track record of having good video games.
Sure, but there's good ones out there, but yeah, there's bad ones too, and so that's not an ace in the hole for fucking Larian. It's ridiculous that's even brought up. And then one of the devs from Blizzard had the audacity to say that they're pulling from a deep world full of lore, and that's one of the reasons why the game's gonna do so well. It's like, motherfucker, you work for Blizzard.
Irony there, yeah.
You work for Blizzard, right? I'm not even like a WoW dude. I'm not even like a Warcraft guy, but I will give them one thing. There's some deep ass lore in that game, and all their games, StarCraft, Diablo, they're all deep lore games, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you saying that? So it's just been kind of a ridiculous conversation. Luckily, it seems like, and I wasn't surprised by this on Twitter, most people were kind of on the same page as us, going like, what are you talking about? Like, why are we talking about this?
Right.
What are you going after them for? And then my TikTok, I mean, it's the main one got like almost 130,000 views and like 14 or 15,000 likes or whatever. So it's like obvious that talking point is basically what most people are kind of identifying with. There was a couple people who were like trying to, like, that's not what they mean. Like, gamers, like so many people have like this anti-gamer point of view, which I get it. There's definitely some shitty ones out there, but I hate that like instant, like, well, gamers are just pieces of shit. And it's like, well, okay, fucking chill.
That's so
like,
broad.
Yeah, it's so stupid, so stupid. And you could tell some of these people have that kind of like undertone to their comment of like they need to defend the devs because devs are always under attack by gamers, and it's like kind of, but a lot of times there's merit to it.
I think when you're in
death
industry,
threats obviously are a whole different thing, but
yeah, I think when you're in an industry that's effectively constantly siphoning money out of people's pockets, you should be held to a pretty high standard.
Well, people really forget for some reason, specifically with video games, what the hell is even happening here. They're asking you for your money in exchange for a product, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's not charity.
The amount of times that like devs get pissed at people who don't want to buy their game, Or gamers are like, well, why do you have an opinion now? Just buy it and try it out. And it's like, what are you talking? That's an investment.
Bro, if I made apple pie and you watched me put dirt in that thing when I was cooking it, and then you just told people to try it,
you don't know
anyways.
unless you try it. Yeah, it's such a stupid argument.
No, dude. Like, I know that dirt doesn't go in food.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, if you look at a game and the trailer makes the game look unappealing to you, and you don't want to pick it up, and people are like, well, you should at least try before you have an opinion. We live in a time where you have so much access to seeing as much of that game as you want, that people can have an educated point of view on what they're spending their hard-earned money on. And so it's people's point of view on the relationship between the dev and the publisher and the consumer is really bizarre to me half the time, the way they view that, especially when devs get really angry when people don't buy their game. Because it's like, that's not the best step.
I mean, I can
forward.
understand, like, so, you know, from the perspective of, like, you know, they put years of their life into this project, and it's obviously not being received well, and this is their livelihood. I can understand being upset, but
Being emotional for sure, yeah. It sucks.
but yeah, lashing out at people for not liking your product is not their fault. Like, you didn't make what the current environment in gaming is asking for or wants. So, or even if you release a buggy game, but at that point, like, you know.
Well, and like, I don't want to be
talk,
that dude, but like, if you're like, well, let's go back to the food analogy. If you spend like 8 years of your life trying to become like some great chef, but you keep putting out shit food that people don't want to eat, and you get upset about it, that does suck. Hopefully you can improve, but like, nobody owes you anything.
Yeah.
Especially when you're asking people for something from them, right? And you can't exchange something that they want in return.
Sure, having someone cook for you or make a game for you, like, is
Exactly.
a service.
And so when these indie devs are preemptively looking at a technically indie game, Baldur's Gate 3, and going like, well, don't judge us differently, because nobody's gonna. Well, I don't know where you're getting that from. What's an example of that? When they're preemptively doing that, I'm like, do you even make, like, and I don't make games, but like, do you even make good games? Maybe one of these indie people don't even make that great of games, and they're just pissed off that someone's successful. And so they're preemptively creating a narrative. Like, as soon as you start like creating this narrative that's unfounded, I'm like, what's the motive?
Well, it's like when everyone was, you know, excited to be playing Elden Ring and talking it up and stuff, and then people in the industry, and I'm not saying everyone in the industry.
That was something brought up a lot on that TikTok.
Yeah, it's a lot of key people, you know, some people on Twitter that work in the industry instantly started tearing it apart.
Yeah,
because
poo-pooing it.
And it came out, not because, but like, it became like it felt very defensive for no reason.
Yep.
Like, let them have a game, people, like, and instead of, you know, trying to dismiss it, why don't you look at what people are saying and what they're enjoying about it, and maybe take some, you know, information from that and put it into your own work. So,
Sure.
you know, not one for one, obviously. You don't want to be ripping people off, but, you know, competition is what creates better products, and being defensive isn't going to help you. So,
Yeah, if you're looking at Baldur's Gate 3 and you're going like, that game's going to do really well because of the quality, it's like, okay, well, it's time for you.
What can you take away
if
from
you're
that?
AAA, it's time for you to step it up then, right? If everybody's like stoked about this game, but they're not stoked about your game.
Or your publisher needs to give you more time to make games.
Yeah, then there's a conversation you'd be having internally about that. Especially when I look at, like, you know, what DICE has done in the last 2 Battlefields, and then like BattleBit got a bunch of praise, and I know they heard about that game.
There's no way they didn't.
They have to have a conversation at that point, because there's no excuse. 3 dudes should not be able to outclass them outside of graphics, obviously.
True.
And so, yeah, when we're talking AAA, this conversation is just like, it's a wake up call. You guys are looking at what's happening over and over and over again in the indie scene, and the praise they're getting, or games like Elden Ring come out and it just gets praised, and then you're sitting there going like, well, why do they bitch at us? Well, people are being vocal about what they're bitching about, and you're not listening.
Yeah.
So, and you don't have to, and I don't want to get too much on a tangent here, but like, You also don't have to do exactly what people want, because I think there is something behind the creative process. And if you have an idea that's worth doing, you should do it or whatever. There's got to be a balance. But when you start expecting copious amounts of money from a bunch of fucking people, you got to start, you got to entice them to do that. Especially when you have an established franchise and it's losing steam. At that point, when you're repeating the process of making this game series over and over again to keep getting that constant cash flow, you got to start working with your consumer on what they want at that point.
Yeah, and obviously in some
there's
cases,
a balance.
like, the dev can't do anything about it, but that's not an excuse to jab at other developers. Like, just
it comes off
keep
so
your mouth shut and don't vomit out your thoughts on the internet.
Yeah, it just seems so ridiculous when it comes from the AAA side, and then when it comes from the indie side, it's just like so ridiculous, that perspective, because like I just don't see it, and they're not seeing it either. Like, show me where you're seeing enough of that kind of talk and perspective that you should even be bringing this up, right? Even if you knew 20 people who have made that claim of like, your game, I'll never buy it because Larian's better. That's still not enough.
Drop in the bucket.
Yeah, that's not a market percentage to be worried about, right? Nobody's going to play Baldur's Gate 3 and then go, you know what? Risk of Rain 3 better be of this quality. It better have facial animations, amazing graphics, a bunch of no one's going to say that. Yeah. They just want Risk of Rain 3 to be more Risk of Rain with more features.
I mean, outside of a handful of people who only play like AAA games, most gamers just play video games, man.
And people play with, like, it's one of the most honest things out there is gaming. People play what the fuck they want to play. I know people who just play indie games. They don't even have interest in AAA games, right? So like, it's and then people who only play first-person shooters, and then people who are crazy like me who play everything, or at least try to. There's a section of gamers for everything out there, as long as you're making games they want to play, right? You can't just make something, expect people to like it if you're not bringing anything to it. So, yeah. Anyway, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about it, because I actually didn't get to talk to anybody about it. I just made a video where I talked to myself about it. So, mostly just kind of rebutting a lot of things the guy said, but it's interesting that the conversation arose. That's what I find interesting. The rest of it, I think, is pretty ridiculous, but I'll leave it there. You have anything else you want to say on it?
Not really.
All right, let us know in the comments what do you guys think about this situation. Is there any details you want to bring up? I'm open-minded to every perspective, of course, so I hope you guys will be as well. If you disagree or if you agree, mostly all I've heard is like 99% of people agreed with the perspective, but with some having the caveat that indies need to be not judged based off this, and I agree with them, but I don't think that's going to happen. So,
okay, who the hell's doing that?
I don't see it. I don't see it happening. So, yeah, let us know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to Larian, Baldur's Gate 3, indie development, AAA development, and the future of gaming moving forward when you got triple or indie games looking AAA as fuck. All right, let's jump into what we've been playing real quick. I'll go first. I've played Alan Wake more, which we'll be talking about on Plus Club. Real quick, we're going on vacation. We'll be gone for like a week. So we'll be getting back like right at the end of this month. So we'll be getting Plus Club and Game of the Month out around the end of the month. If it's a day delayed or something, you understand. Just letting you guys know, though. But our games for Plus Club are Alan Wake, Call of Duty Black Ops, Cold War, and Endling Extinction is Forever, which I have played all three of those games at this point. So we'll be able to have that conversation. We actually thought about maybe shooting that for this, but I was like, we should do a taste cast. So yeah, played more Alan Wake, of course. I think I'm on chapter 4. I'm not that far into it, but I've been playing it. And then played some Call of Duty Cold War. I have uninstalled it, though, because it is 175 gigs on my poor PS5's hard drive. And yeah, I hopped around without giving any details on my opinion on it. Hopped around and played the multiplayer, the campaign, and zombies. So I will be refreshed and ready to talk about that game in full detail. And then played some more Final Fantasy 16. I am so upset that I did not get to play this as much this month as I would like to have, because I was hoping to have beaten it by the end of the month so we could do a full review. And I am not close to beating it, but I do have a lot of opinions on the game so far from where I'm at, so it'll be at least an interesting conversation when we talk about it on Game of the Month, which is your pick for Game of the Month. So that'll be a fun conversation. I know you've been playing as well, but I'll let you talk about that. And then pretty much the only game I've been playing, because I got it in early access, is Remnant 2, the sequel to Remnant from the Ashes. And if you follow this channel, you guys know I'm a big fan of Remnant from the Ashes. In fact, you played it via Plus Club, and then you ended up buying on PC. We beat it together. You ended up liking it as well, too. I think you're planning on picking it up.
I bought it before we started filming.
Oh, nice. So yeah, without gushing too much on this game, because I'm a big fan of the last game, Remnant 2 is better than Remnant from the Ashes in every single way possible I've been able to gather so far. I'm about 13, 14 hours into the game, so I'm not that far into it. But in those 14 hours, I've done a lot. The game is packed full of content. And it's just been crazy to see a game that had such a identity, but maybe lack of budget or something in the last game, really kind of turn into something that I feel like people who maybe missed out on the first game are going to play this and want to go back and play the original. It's really that big of a change. They've improved everything from graphics to animations to storytelling to music, to boss fights to puzzles and secrets to find, to the amount of weapons, mods. They've added classes instead of the 3 archetypes you picked in the original game that just kind of gave you starting gear, different starting gear, like a sniper rifle for the sniper guy, all that stuff. In this, you actually have classes that have their own abilities and perks on top of the traits that you had from the original game, so that's really interesting. I've been playing the Gunslinger, which is essentially a medium to close range DPS class. Very cowboy aesthetic. I have a move where I can just, from my hip, shoot a bunch of rounds from my revolver into any enemies in front of me, which is nice as an oh shit button. But you can do, I think, 1.5 classes. I don't remember how it works.
Something like that, yeah.
I already have my second class picked, which is I think it's called the Hunter, which is the long range DPS class, because even though I kill things pretty good up close, I'll shoot things from a distance. I'm like, oh, that's why they made the class its own thing, because the further away, the less damage you do to things. So I was like, I would really like to kill that guy from really far away. And so
I think the first game had that too, actually, the distance damage drop.
Might have, yeah, but this definitely has it, and so I was like, it gives the Hunter a purpose, which I think is cool. But I want to do the DPS everywhere. So, but yeah, for anybody interested, there's like a Hunter who's like a sniper, long range DPS character, Gunslinger, which is close range. Then you have Challenger, who's a tank type character who I'd really like to make a melee build for. I think it'd be pretty cool. I forgot the name of it, but there's a medic, somebody who heals, which is pretty neat. And then there's somebody who runs around with a dog, which is pretty cool. And then, spoiler-ish, there's secret classes in the game you unlock. So, and I don't know much about those. So,
Pretty excited about that.
same, because I don't have any of them. But when I was looking up something, I was like, okay, what do these classes do? It listed like 3 or 4 other classes. I'm like, oh, when I just like left, I'm like, I don't want to see those. So yeah, the game's got a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, so let's see, what do I want to talk about? I've been playing early access, and the game literally, as we're filming, just came out. So I don't want to like talk about stuff really, because a lot of you might be playing it for the first time right now, and so the game has so many cool little things to it that I don't want to spoil the experience. But one thing I really love about the original game that this game just carries right over is the shooting is so satisfying and tight, but it feels better in this game. In the first game, it also happened, but in this game, you really notice that even when you shoot an enemy, they get staggered from the round. You see the impact to it. And I find myself sometimes shooting a dude who's getting close to me, and then as another dude's approaching, I'll hit him real quick to stagger him, and I'll go back to shooting the other dude just to like kind of like keep them at bay. And it's kind of when you're just in the moment shooting and like rolling around. And for people who don't know, the game is inspired by Dark Souls for sure, but it's a very competent third-person shooter. Yeah. But there's like a challenge element to it, where like when you're fighting bosses, they're supposed to be like, you know, they're supposed to be mechanics supposed to be challenging, but even enemies, you know, might get you. You're on a cliffside, you're rolling around, you might fall off. It has a similar vibe, and so you know sometimes when you're getting attacked by a lot of enemies at once, and this game has upped that ante 100%. Not only are the enemies more plentiful when they attack you at once, and they will all hit you whenever. There's no like take turns situation here. Their animations are so much better and varied, and they're so much more aggressive. It's also worth mentioning I'm playing this on veteran because I thought that was normal difficulty, because there's one, I forgot what it's called, it's story mode or something like that, I thought, and then there's veteran, which I was like, oh, this is like for people who played third-person shooters. Then there's a harder mode, and then there's an unlockable harder mode than that, and I was like, I'll play the middle one because that must be default. But then I found out later that people were like, yeah, you shouldn't start on veteran. It's more difficult than the original game was. But I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying the challenge to it. A lot of classic weapons and mods come back to this one from the last game, which is really cool to see because I kind of feel like I never left. I'm playing this game and there's so much new stuff that's so dope. I love it. But there's all this like familiarity from the last game too that just like really kind of carries over. Like there's an ability in the last game where you just like imbue your gun with fire rounds, whatever gun you're using. I have it on my SMG, and it's the same SMG from the last game. I won't talk about where you get it or anything like that. But I was like happy to see that gun and that mod because I was like, I used this in the last game. I'll use that. But it's not even like, you know, they just kind of threw over stuff that was already in the last game. There's all sorts of new shit too, all sorts of new mods. I forgot what they're called, but you have these cores that are essentially the way you heal, similar to an Estus flask in like Dark Souls, and you can up those charges as you play further and further. I'm still using 3 right now. I could have upgraded it a while back and I didn't, because I spent it on something else, which I think is kind of cool. You have options like that, but in this game, you get to equip stat modifiers onto your cores. You have 3 slots, and so you get things that increase your range, damage, fire rate, how much damage you take, all sorts of stuff. So you can start kind of like building your character a little bit, which last game kind of didn't have in that sense. But also something that's really interesting is you can get new cores that do different things. So not just a heal, but things that do other stuff. So
kind of Path of Exile like.
Yeah. So they're really getting, it's funny because in the last game you just found trait points, and as you did certain things you'd unlock new traits that could get leveled up to level 10, and I loved that system because it always felt like a surprise when you unlocked a new trait, because you're like, whoa, shit, I must have killed enough things, or I went to a place I haven't been to before, or a story thing happened that unlocked this trait. So it's like this sense of discovery. This game still has that, but then also met with the class system and the gear. It just takes a system that I already really loved and adds more depth to it, which I did not expect them to do. So that's really cool. Also, in case you don't know, like weapons in the game can be modified with, like I said, the fire imbuing thing. But they also have, I forgot what it's called, they have another slot where you can put things on to modify it even further now, which is kind of crazy. So for instance, my SMG has the fire rounds that I can just put fire damage into people, but then on my other modifier slot, I have something that I think every like, I have a 10% chance to get ammo back, right? So I'm just trying to increase the amount of rounds I can throw into somebody when I light my bullets on fire. So you get a lot of mix and match to the way you're building your stuff out, which is just awesome. Then it has a similar system. It has the same system to the last game where you get resources. That's how you upgrade your stuff, like your armor, which you have multiple armor sets that all have different properties that make you look different. And then you upgrade your guns to make them more powerful, craft new guns. There's a gun vendor right at the beginning of the game where he just has a shitload of guns you can buy, but you need the money to buy them. there's just so much stuff to this game. It's like I was hoping for a sequel to that game when I originally played it. I was like, dude, this game's like really fucking cool. It's kind of like a sleeper game. Like no one's talking about it, but it's really cool. But it's definitely an indie game. And I was hoping for a sequel to it. I would check something very similar to the original game, just more content. Because the one thing that game lacked was like length. It wasn't that long of a game. And for anybody who's like, oh, should I go back and play the first game? Yes, I think you should. But luckily, the game's not super long, so you're not going to be stuck.
Really
you're not going to be stuck playing that game for very long before you play Remnant 2. And Remnant 2 does seem like it's a bigger game already. There's a lot of exploration going on. But I wasn't expecting them to really up the ante this much. Like this feels like a proper sequel in like every way, and I'm just having a fucking blast with it. If there's one reason I don't want to go on vacation right now, and I do want to go on vacation, it's because I want to play Remnant 2 still. So, but I'll be fine because the game is just awesome, and it's so annoying in the best way possible that I haven't been able to play Final Fantasy 16 as much as I'd like, and I want to beat that game, and I will for sure. But now I'm playing Remnant 2, and I'm fucking loving it. And then on the 25th of August, Armored Core 6 comes out, and Starfield's gonna come out. Like,
And Baldur's Gate.
we're fucking in it. Like, it's too many like big games that I want to play. And I'm now starting to see. We should have a conversation on maybe the next Taste Cast. Maybe we're a little past midway on the year, but talk about where we're at in terms of like best games of the year so far before we do our game of the year discussion at the end of the year. But because it's starting to get tough already. Because like also for me personally, Alan Wake 2 comes out this fucking year, which is playing Alan Wake, and we'll talk about it on Plus Club. But like playing Alan Wake again, I just keep thinking of like, holy shit, this is getting a sequel. That's crazy. And then, oh god, Stalker 2, dude. Stalker 2's coming out this year. Like, and there's other games. There's other shit coming out this year I can't even think of. So, it's I think crazier that was it last year that God of War came out or the year before? I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was last year.
I think it was last year, yeah, because it was Horizon that got snubbed, God of War, and that was the other big game. I can't remember, but Elden Ring.
Yeah.
That was huge because there's like these titans that came out among all the other games. But like this year, it's like a bunch of big games coming out, like to the point where you can't focus on one against one. And a lot of people would probably talk about Zelda this year. It's not really on my radar,
Yeah,
but
same.
but I respect and appreciate it, but I'm not the biggest Zelda guy. But everybody's saying it's like game of the year, best game they've ever played. It's I'm hearing that a lot. So it's just a crazy year, and yeah, don't sleep on Remnant 2. It's really good. It's definitely already probably one of the best games I've played this year. So that's cool to say. That's what I've been playing.
Okay.
Just gushing about Remnant 2.
Let's see. I can't remember the name of the Fox game.
Endling. Extinction is Forever.
Played that. Can't talk about it.
You walk left and right.
You definitely do. Sometimes you transition from one path to another. I played Alan Wake. I don't know how to describe how far I made it, but I have a pretty good idea already how I feel about the game. And then, man, I'm drawing a blank.
Call of Duty?
Call of Duty. I played Call of Duty. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm not gonna play the multiplayer. So, and I will make sure to bring that up when I talk about my opinion of the game. But I played the campaign. That's what I sat down and did.
I had a weird experience with the campaign I told you about already, but we'll talk about it. Why not? We do.
And I played that for longer than I expected because I stupidly went to go to last checkpoint, and I said restart mission instead, and I had to redo a whole last chapter. So I was a little frustrated with that. I missed a shot, and I was like, I can make that shot. And I was just going to redo the checkpoint to do the shot. And yeah, anyways, played that. Can't talk about those. And then I have mostly been playing Final Fantasy 16, which obviously I can't talk about either because we have to do a show on that as well. But just to give some perspective of where I'm at, the PS5 says I'm 55% through the campaign. And I am...
You know how many hours you have in the game?
No. And it would be disingenuous anyways because there's been plenty of times where I've just left it on and I went and did something real quick. So without spoiling any story notes, because obviously for you, but for you all as well, I am chasing injured prey and going towards a geode. I'm going to keep it there.
Yeah, that means nothing to me. So,
so if you've gotten that far, you know what I'm talking about. But if not, it doesn't spoil much, if anything.
Yeah, I'm at the second icon part of the game, so not that far. But
I have
played
4,
it.
so for what it's worth. So,
Yeah.
I can't say anything. Never mind. Yeah, but been playing that. I wanted to also beat it. It has been difficult.
We're in the
time-wise.
busy season.
Yeah. Other than that, I suppose I could bring up. I tried a couple mobile games that also have PC versions. That's the only reason I even tried them. One's called Shadow. I'll have it here in just a second. Shadowverse. It's a card game. Plays a lot like Magic the Gathering and kind of, I guess, Hearthstone. I don't know. I was kind of in the mood for a card game, seeing which ones were available. That one came up a lot, so I tried it. It's all right. I can't play it all the time. I don't really like play card games that much, but sometimes I'm in the mood.
Did you play Inscription?
I did not. But that's not like a traditional card game, right? That's like a campaign-based game or whatever.
It's a hybrid of both, yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely an overall narrative that carries forward, but it does have kind of a open system to it, being just like a card game.
Gotcha. Yeah, this has like you could buy like series of decks and
it's
stuff like
not
that.
like that.
It's literally like playing Magic but online. So
Gotcha.
there's online tournaments and stuff like that too. So and then the other one I tried because it just came out. It's called Snowbreak. It is a third-person shooter. I just unlocked the co-op mode in that, so I played with some randos. And by played with, one of them AFK'd while me and the other guy went through the mission. But it was pretty fun.
Dude AFK'd was in the back of his mom's van and they drove through a tunnel.
Well, whatever. He got free rewards for it, so.
Nice.
And there's no way to report them. So not that the dev's going to see this, but let people kick AFKs or report them, please.
Okay, before you say if the dev's going to see this or not, one of the comments we'll be reading is from a dev. So
Sure, but and just because it has oddly happened a couple times now,
yeah, it's weird.
it's not common. So, and especially like I doubt some Asian dev is gonna pay attention to what some English speaker has to say. So,
Find out.
yeah. But overall, I think the game is pretty fun. The story isn't really doing much for me, so I've gotten to the point now where I'm kind of skipping it, which kind of sucks. But the gameplay loop is pretty alright. I don't know if it's like going to be a long-term game for me, but if you're looking for a mobile game to play that also plays on PC and stuff, and is a third-person shooter that has a cooperative mode, if you're far enough into it, give it a shot. So. And that's pretty much it. That's what I've been playing. I wish I had more to report, but I played a bunch of stuff that were obligations, so I can't talk about them.
Yeah, makes sense. It's weird. I'm back down to playing basically outside of the obligatory games, just one game, because I think last East Cast was talking about like all these horror games I was playing. So it's kind of nice to narrow down to one game again, because that's always a little more fun. But unless I'm just trying to sample things, which I like to do.
Also, I need to find a little pocket of time because a patch came out for Final Fantasy 14 and I have not had an opportunity to do it. So, which is annoying.
You have to wait a week.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments what games have you guys been playing. What games do you think we should be playing? Are you playing Remnant 2? Are you playing Final Fantasy 16 still? No spoilers, please. Are you playing these mobile games? Are you yeah, what are you playing? What would you recommend us playing? What are you looking forward to playing in the future? I would go into what I'm looking forward to, but kind of already talked about games coming up. So take that as games I'm anticipating. Let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to what you've been playing. All right, so let's jump into videos already.
Okay.
We have a video of Sandland, which is the new Akira Toriyama third-person action game. I think San Diego Comic-Con is going on, or was going on 3 days ago at least. And there they let people play the game. So this is an interview, developer interview via IGN. They talk a bit about the details of the game. I didn't really hear much about it when I was skimming through it to check the video to make sure it was good. But there's also a 12-minute just pure gameplay video. I thought about putting it on here, but if you guys want to see a reaction to that, we could always do that separately. But yeah, this game was kind of a surprise for both of us. If I could talk for both of us when we first saw it, because Akira Toriyama's art style has made its way into a lot of things. That's putting it lightly, and doesn't always necessarily mean it's going to be great. And then sometimes it is great, like Dragon Quest. But to see a third-person action game coming out with his art style that's of its own kind of original property was kind of crazy. And I remember when we first saw it, I thought it actually looked kind of like a neat game too. So this is a game I'm pretty curious about, and I'm excited to hear some details on it, because I was more so sold just based off of what I saw visually. I don't know anything about it, so.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was kind of surprising. I remember watching the video and at first kind of, ready to brush it off. And then as it kind of went on, remember thinking, I was like, oh, this kind of looks fun, actually. So, yeah, I'm curious for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's watch this and hear what they got to say about Sandland. 3, 2, 1, go.
I just got to play some of the game, and it looks phenomenal. I have to ask you, what's your experience been like working on this game? How's it been?
So this is the creator. This is created by Akira Toriyama, who is known for Dragon Ball. So we really love this IP, the manga. So we really happy to be bring it into the game. So this is really good experience from for him as well to create into to through the development.
The game's a lot cleaner looking than I would expect a game like this to look.
I mean, I kind of said the same thing about the last Dragon Quest.
The manga isn't that long, so I'm kind of curious, how expansive is this game? I'm assuming it will cover the manga, but will it, kind of expand upon the Sandland lore?
So this is very short manga, one volume manga, but we really cover the Sunland manga contents, and also we have this is game, so we have the very original experience, which cannot be really the experience through manga, but we can experience through the game. So we have added some kind of elements to expand on the world view as a game in the game side.
Okay, so it's a one-shot manga.
Yeah.
But they have added content to expand upon it.
Okay.
Game.
Yeah, you mentioned that you expand on various different elements. I'm
wonder
kind
if
of
it's gonna
curious
tell the whole story.
what elements from Toriyama's other
I
works
assume so, since one
could we
shot
possibly
would be
see
story's over.
Yeah.
influenced in this game? Will we see anything from some of his other work?
So we really learn a lot from Toriyama Sensei's the other work, especially for Dragon Ball. We really learn a lot from the Dragon Ball. So and and also not only Dragon Ball, but Toriyama Sensei has very unique taste style. So we really discuss with development team, and we really bring up the all elements from the Toriyama Sensei or slide, and also for the kind of the unique the comedy style and to the game to bring into the Sunland.
She speaks a little fast. It's hard to follow.
Yeah.
I was able to do some moves that were very reminiscent of Dragon Ball, so I'm already excited. Now, I mentioned this before we started recording. The game looks very well polished. It looks amazing. I'm already in love with it. but we saw the trailer not too long ago, so I'm kind of curious, how long has this game been in development?
ちょっと明確に開発期間
So like we cannot tell like the exact time how long we take for this development, but we already discussed and also we already focus on like the creating to the game development. So like it's really long time, and also we already like the discuss and like we already focus on each element in the Sunland. So like I think like this has been like coming up in the game development, so in the demo, so you find like that this is your polished. So yeah, we have very long time to development for now.
I'm having a hard time following 100%.
Yeah. Well, they said
And my
they
final
spent
question,
time to
what are
polish
you
it, but
most
they won't
excited
basically
for
talk
fans to
about
experience?
Yeah,
how long.
I heard
そう
that
ですね
part.
まあまずは
So like first of all, we would like to make the audience love the Sunland itself, and also like not only character action, we have like many vehicles in the game, so like they can enjoy vehicle action. So we're excited to see like many people like the Beelzebub and Sunland, and also vehicle actions for this game.
I honestly can't wait for us to all experience this game. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you. Yeah. So there you have it, a little bit more about the upcoming Bandai Namco video game, Sandland, based on Akira Toriyama's iconic manga, starring this guy, Beelzebub. You know, if y'all want to check him out, well, keep it locked right here. We got plenty more coverage right here at San Diego Comic-Con 2023. High five.
No, the
Handshake.
video's over, dude. That's fine.
Nothing? Really? Not even gonna blink.
He's trying to be funny.
Sure.
All right, that was short and sweet, but we got some info out of that. What do we think?
I don't know how much info I would say I got from that, but I'm glad that at the very least, like, you know, when they were done talking, even the dev was like smiling pretty big, so like you could tell he's like pretty excited about it. Yeah, what I've taken at least from the little bit of footage we saw, kind of mixed with what I caught with what she's saying. You know. They really want to focus on multiple gameplay types, which is pretty cool. Multiple vehicles and whatnot. It's still kind of hard to take away too much because they didn't show a lot, and they definitely didn't talk about like what's in the game. More so that it was, you know, who was behind it, where it came from, and that they spent some time on making it. Like that's pretty much what I got from it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I actually was surprised with that being 4.5 minutes and how little we got out of that. I mean, we did see some gameplay, but maybe we should watch this instead. I'll just let this play, but yeah, this is the gameplay. This is the demo that they played, but yeah, it sounds like they're excited about the game. It's cool to hear that's from a manga that's done, wrapped, which I kind of like. They can explore that story in a game. The only reason I asked if they're going to do it in one game is, well, they want to make multiple games or not.
Might be a little risky.
Yeah, well, if the game does well, though, I'm sure they'd want to make another. But yeah, the game looks much better than I expect, especially from a anime Bandai Namco game. They come in varied qualities. Also, I think the variety of gameplay that we've seen so far is interesting. It's not just you're running around hitting things. You're also doing a lot of driving. This is a crazy scene that reminds me of like Crash Bandicoot. And then drive around in that adorable tank. I think looks really cool. And having I don't know anything about the manga at all. It's it's all like brand new to me, so it's interesting because you have the familiarity of the art style, but the world is, you know, alien.
Yeah.
For anybody listening, they're driving in a vehicle towards the screen, similar to Crash Bandicoot back in the day, and there's a giant sandworm chasing after them.
And they have a certain amount of distance they have to cover before this segment is over, so
Yeah.
which is in the top left of the screen.
But there's not a whole lot of like challenges in front of them. There's not a whole lot of things they're dodging or anything. They're just kind of driving and trying not to get hit. The music's fucking intense. I'm very curious to explore the story, because I want to know why there's just two old dudes hanging out with this little devil dude.
Why did an old dude hang out with two kids in Dragon Ball?
It's a weird question.
大したことなかったな。
いきなり水と食料を失ってしまった。
Music's pretty loud compared to the talking.
Yeah.
That faded out there.
That was pretty loud when they were driving too, but at least it was a scene where it was like, you know, supposed to be high stress.
Right,
but
yeah.
ここから少し走ったところにタルボという町があるはずだ。金に余裕はないが、そこで何とかしよう。
他に方法はなさそうだな。じゃ、その町に行ってみるか。
さあ、車に乗って進むと。するか。
He's just driving.
あの岩のアーチを目指そう。その先に町が見えるはずだ。
へえ、
Some
楽しみ
nitro
だな。
gauge on the vehicle.
yeah.
お、戦車だ。
戦争当時のじゃない。新型だ。
Oh, you can do damage with the vehicle. Okay.
Take a third of his health.
俺ってすごい。うりゃ。
Combat seems fine.
Yeah. It's a lot more fluid than I was expecting. Be pissed if I was hanging out in the desert and that little dude with the cape just came kick my ass.
That tank is so ridiculous.
I love it. It's so Akira Toriyama.
Imagine using a whole tank shell to take out one animal.
やはり昔は良かった。
Damn, what are you driving into that for?
こんな世界になっちゃったのは最悪だけど、人間は昔も今も問題あるからな。
真実は認めるが、あんたら魔物ほどじゃ。
俺たち悪さはするけど殺しまではしないぞ。
They do not care.
How about fucking damage drop off?
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty far away.
都合の悪いことが起こると魔物のせいにして
He's the Alpha Raptor.
I was gonna say, is he gonna like try to fight him, or is he just gonna sit there and strafe?
と言って勘違いしてもらっちゃ困るぜ。
There it goes. Okay.
悪なのは確かに。
Damn, I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Got hit and the tank rolled backwards.
悪だろ。なんつっても悪魔だからな。おっさんだってほんの少し悪さしてんだろ。発表しろよ。
Yeah, I love that the tank like rocks around and stuff when it gets hit.
I mean, the thing's basically shaped like a ball, anyways.
Yeah, it just adds character to it.
戦争でだ。
Get the big guy behind you to stop, take out the little guy that's
That
not
thing's
even
almost
part
dead.
of it.
Just fucking
Yeah.
kill it. It's right there. What are you doing? Ass health. Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh my fucking god.
A little hard to watch. I think they just ditched the car like it didn't matter.
Yeah, apparently it didn't. My only worry about this game, I don't want to be that dude, but deserts don't do it for me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But like the visual style does. Like all the characters are vibrant and interesting. Even the tank. So it kind of distracts me from you're just driving through dirt. Yeah, desert, yeah. Which, you know, it's called Sandland, so I assume there's plenty of sand, but
yeah.
I don't care if it's this or any other property. Typically, deserts are just not that interesting to me as a
Environment.
environment. Yeah, thank you.
ぶっ飛ばしてやろうぜ。
赤を言うな。いいか、絶対に
I
近づ
like
くな。
deserts or ocean that much.
Yeah. Skip forward a little bit.
Wait, are they like bugs at the back?
I don't know. I hate their shape.
They got a little pooch on their butt.
I think it's why they die with their butts in the air too. I would say whoever's playing this, please don't get stuck in a hole because you're never gonna get out. What yo? What yo? What yo? All right, you made it, dude. Congratulations. Brought those guys up there
Man,
with you,
they're pretty spry getting up that rock face.
especially that little gnome fucker.
Like the whole fucking devil kid thing makes sense, but
逆らった。殺してもいいわ。こいつはお前らの仕業だ。
でも方向性は王子と似ていますぞ。
who's talking?
なんて失礼な。
Yeah, I was wondering the same.
分からせておやりなさい。
Yeah, it's not lip synced very well.
Or at all?
Yeah. I mean, his mouth open for a second, but it really wasn't synced to anything.
See that little buggy there? Huh. Literally a tutorial about evasion and just fucking tanked 5 hits there.
He didn't read it. That's a weak ass dodge or roll. Bye. See you in hell. Alright, we saw some more there. Overall for me, the game looks pretty cool. Nothing I'm like super hyped on, but it definitely has its own original flair as a third-person action game to make you want to keep my eyes on it, especially as an anime game, because anime games are pretty hit or miss, in my opinion. And this being a property I know nothing about kind of makes it a little more interesting for me as well, because a lot of anime games are just like, you take the characters, you put them in a scenario that allows for gameplay, and that's about it. But this seems to be at least trying to tell some kind of story. Hopefully it is the story of the manga. That'd be interesting enough to maybe get people to get into the manga who haven't read it. The gameplay looks decent. It doesn't look amazing, but it doesn't look bad either. It actually looks better than I thought it was going to be. And I'm curious more so about systems, leveling possibly, gears or anything going on other than just running around driving, beating people up. But all that's good enough looking. I do really like the little details that make it feel kind of cartoony though, like the tank rolling backwards. That was very unexpected. I haven't seen that in any game ever, so I really did like that. And even when it got hit, it was like rocking back and forth, and kind of just added an element of fun to and character to even the tank. So that's pretty cool. And seems pretty varied, and seems like a game that I'll definitely keep my eye on. But is it one of the big hype games of 2023? If it's coming out this year, I don't know. Looks pretty far along. Probably not, but definitely a game I would play. I definitely would check it out.
Yeah, I mean it. It looks fine. I'm not necessarily excited for it, but I am curious. I'm mostly kind of curious about the same things you are, like, you know, game content wise. You know, we saw a little bit there, but you know, is it just primarily a story game? Is there things to acquire or not? You know, how long is the game going to be? What, you know, what's the price point going to be when it comes out? You know, there's a lot of factors that I kind of need to know before I like just decide to buy it. But it could just be one of those things I just kind of keep my eye on, and if reviews come out and they're, you know, fine, I might just wait for it to get a little cheaper before I pick it up. But we'll see. I didn't really get enough here as like a sales, you know, pitch basically, but I did at least get a little idea of how it plays. So.
I went into this being interested, and watching all this, I'm still just interested. It didn't push me further along. So, but yeah, looks. Best thing I can say is it looks better than I expect from a game like this. So, and I'll definitely keep an eye on it. But yeah, I didn't see any of the big selling points like you were kind of saying. Yeah. To really push me forward to going like, oh shit, yeah, I'm definitely going to play that. So
for sure.
But it looks cool. Anything else?
Nope.
Let us know in the comments what you guys think of Sandland. 12 minutes of gameplay. Well, we watched some of that, and then the information that we got that was kind of there. Have you read the manga? If you have, is it a good story? Is it something you're looking forward to in terms of a game bringing that to life? And then in terms of the game itself, what do you think of the gameplay? Is this something that looks like it'd be interesting for you? Kind of open world, running around this zone, possibly it's a zone or open world, I don't know. Similar. What do you think about the tank? What do you think about the combat? What do you think about the characters? And is this a game that you could see yourself playing? Let us know everything you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Sandland. All right, next and last video we are watching is the recently released Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon gameplay preview. This is a 13-minute video in which I've barely seen any of it. Kind of skimmed through it earlier, but it seems like they explain certain things about the game while showing gameplay that we have not seen yet. There are also, I assume, some kind of embargo has been lifted because a bunch of people who got to play this have made videos on it, including that dude we watched last time who had that video kind of breaking down what he had saw or seen and then try to recreate it. He made, I think, like a 43-minute video on playing it.
Dude who went the extra mile.
Yeah. And so I'm sure he has packed that full of details, and maybe we can make a separate video just watching his video alone, because I didn't want to throw a 43-minute video in the mix.
That's quite a sit.
But this is the official Bandai Namco video that we're going to watch. So Armored Core 6 is a game I'm waiting for years. When it got announced, I have been ecstatic ever since its announcement. This is one of my most hyped games of 2023, and you know, when I think of From Software, one of the first things that comes to my mind growing up with PlayStation is Armored Core. I'm a huge fan of Armored Core. I can't wait to play this. I'm already sold, been sold. So I'm really excited to see what they have to show us here. I'll take more details for sure, but I'm going to buy this no matter what. So yeah, excited to see what they have to show us.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't really need to be sold on the game. This is more so just going to be eye candy at this point. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just jump into it then. This is Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon gameplay preview via Bandai Namco. In 3, 2, 1, go. I still am like blown away this game exists. I covered the leak like a long time ago too. Like,
and thanks for checking out the video.
So it just doesn't feel real.
We'll introduce our new mech action game, Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. We hope it gives you an idea of this title's mood and gameplay. In a future where interstellar
curious,
travel
just because they've been making Soul-style games for so long.
Our story begins in a distant star
them
system
making
on the
a
fictional
different type
planet
of game after all this time.
Our protagonist, an independent mercenary, is smuggled into Rubicon in search of a mysterious new substance known as coral.
Your position is grid 135. Off target, but within permissible range. There's a catapult ahead. Use it to close the gap.
Huge multi-layered stages will let players make the most of their AC's exceptional movement and attack capabilities.
I said before, I'll say it again. These are the best environments Armored Core has had, and that's not just because it's better graphics, but like the design is so much better.
Yeah.
I'm so used to like just hallways and big square rooms in past Armored Cores, and the detail's just so much better here.
Time to fly, 621.
Plus, Armored Core has the coolest looking fucking mechs.
That is crazy scenery.
Mm-hmm. So was Elden Ring, though.
Yeah, true.
Overwhelm enemies with up to 4 weapons simultaneously, equipped to each arm and shoulder.
I fucking love the movement.
They'll get in the way of our work. Eliminate them.
It's weird to see it. It's just been so... Dude, that guy also, his drawings were pretty good.
Huh?
The dude who, like, drew the
Oh, yeah.
because they weren't allowed to show it.
Yeah.
They were pretty good.
Follow the markers.
Assault Boost is one of the core abilities at your disposal, used for both traversal and combat.
It's so like open. You can approach from different directions. It's awesome.
It'll be coming soon. You got us on the run. We're being attacked! Unidentified AC! Return fire!
The sword slashes look so fucking good.
Yeah.
Take full advantage of your AC's mobility to freely navigate the environment. Use Boost to take the fight to the air, extending combat dimensions beyond the 2D plane.
It's so smooth.
Yeah, this is like smooth as it's ever been.
You're outnumbered, 621. Use your missiles.
I'm also just kind of like watching the body every time like it changes directions and stuff. Like,
yeah, there's like great animations, but it's also still stiff in a lot of ways. It seems mechanical. It's a really good mix.
Use vertical catapults to gain even more altitude and launch into the action from above.
I'm so glad to see From Software doing something different than what they've been doing for so long.
That's a big ass helicopter.
Fucking huge.
Yeah.
Against tougher enemies, deal impact damage to their attitude control system to temporarily put them out of action. This is called stagger. Any attack received in this state is considered a direct hit, dealing heavy
Like
damage.
you should stagger it. Japanese action games, huh? Oh, we didn't get to see this at all, huh? A little bit.
I saw it somewhere, yeah, but not in great detail.
Assembly lets you exchange various parts of your AC at will, including weapons, frame parts such as the head and core, and internal parts for power management.
I can't wait. That's not build mechs.
Assembling an AC to fit your own playstyle and strategy is crucial to success.
Oh yeah.
That's so nostalgic. What the hell?
Yeah.
Got a job for you, 621. This one's a request from the Archivist Group.
Raven, this request comes from Schneider, an Archivist subsidiary. The mission will take place in the Bonadea dunes of Western Belius. Our coral investigation there is being blocked by the Strider, a Rubicon Liberation Front mining ship. You are to destroy it. The Strider is a mobile resource base that was extensively weaponized by the Liberation Front. Call it the crowning glory of their efforts to militarize into an anti-corporate force. Your attack will focus on the Eye, a giant laser cannon connected directly to the main generator. It's protected by a shield.
Shoot a torpedo down the shaft, is that what I'm hearing?
Sub-generators.
Hopefully.
These should be your first targets.
It's weird to hear people talking so much in a From Software game and not just saying like some cryptic shit to you. Like this guy's like telling you full on shit you just understand.
Time for a little self-promotion, 621. Smash the Strider, and Arquebus HQ will be sure to remember your name.
Main system activating combat mode.
Commence mission. First, get through all that dust and make contact with the Strider.
Here, we're up against an enormous weapon that eclipses our AC in size.
Unidentified agent. Must be one of the corporation's dogs. Activate the eye. Burn them away. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I love that. Oh yeah, dude, that reminds me so much of Armored Core 4. That thing's fucking huge.
Oh my god, you can just attack parts of it. That's quite the endeavor.
621, you need to take out one of its legs to bring it to a halt. Confirmed. Strider leg
He looks so
compromised.
small.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
That's some crazy scale.
Yeah, it's insane looking.
Alright, now we've got a foothold to get on the deck. Grab on and get to work on the sub-generators.
What the hell?
Great. An independent merc.
Probably good they didn't show all that.
Yeah, I don't want to see everything.
Nice guy who decided to Remnant should have taken care of some free lift.
Allies. How about some co-op?
Some missions will see you partnered up with LIACs.
Well, that's free red guns.
I'm like so happy with everything, but like the movement, like the flow of combat and getting around looks so fucking good.
Yeah, you can really just kind of move all over the place.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's kind of, especially for me because I haven't played one since like Armored Core 3. All the combat was in really tight corridors.
Yeah. You could do like the versus arena mode and you'd be in a big open room, but yeah, a lot of times
Well,
there's
not
like
big.
going down hallways and stuff.
Code 78 requesting backup.
Dude, that thing has a kick.
The
That
cavalry is
cannon on the left shoulder.
Wipe them out, 621.
Your mission objectives will range
It's
from
good there's a
protecting
warning
targets
system
and
because you can
information
shot from so many
gathering
different
to the
directions.
annihilation
Yeah.
of enemy forces.
50%.
It's just that dance in the sky. Don't shoot me, don't shoot me.
Attacking a watch point. You're incorrigible, Handler Walter. How many of your dogs must I kill before you learn?
Whatever, dude.
But I hear you make fine hounds with the right training. Shame you'll have to die here.
2 repair kits remaining.
This song is crazy. It's so stressful.
As your
Well, it's
campaign progresses, you'll
In
face a
theme
number
with
of
From
dangerous
Software, just
situations.
different style.
And
Yeah.
often be pitted against rival AC pilots in bitter duels.
It's not like someone was
Keep the
listening
pressure
to
up in these intense battles.
some Trent
Don't
Reznor.
give the enemy a chance at victory.
Get wrecked. on that thing.
Formidable boss encounters also await you at the end of certain missions. These fights are fast and aggressive, presenting a challenge for even the impossibly powerful AC. By observing the enemy's movements and tells, the player can learn as the battle unfolds. And a good commander assembly will often provide the first step to overcoming even the most daunting foes.
Jesus.
We invite players to take on this one for themselves and see what else awaits.
I wanna...
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, no problem.
That concludes our introduction to Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon.
I want to see what bigger mechs
We appreciate
are
your
like
continued
in these
support
scenarios.
and look forward to seeing you at launch.
Yeah, whoever they picked to do the voice for that, he's got a good voice for that.
Yeah, he's great. Very in theme. Yeah, I can't wait to play this.
Loving the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's everything's fucking great. Like, so excited. I so badly want them to announce that it'll have some kind of co-op. But if it doesn't, that's fine.
Maybe a DLC later.
Yeah, to see these like ally NPCs, I'm like, that could be a person.
Who? Yeah, I if the whole soundtrack sounds like that, I'll be buying that.
Yeah, it's fucking great. Yeah, what do we think? It was good.
yeah, no, it was good. I don't know. I'm kind of blown away, to be honest. It looks like Armored Core, except for it's like super gorgeous compared to like what I'm used to at this point with the series. It's kind of interesting thinking back as well, because like when Armored Core 4 and 5 was coming out, one of the big things they were kind of like showing off, especially with like the Xbox, was like that console had like a lighting engine that wasn't being used on the PlayStation, and so like the lighting effects were
2004,
were like nutty or whatever. But it was like a little too much, I think, versus in like this, everything's a little more muted, except for like the sword, obviously, like has a real bright effect, but it's also not like lens flaring the hell out of the screen either. So
I actually preferred on 360 because the bloom lighting made all the lights look more illuminated. Where on PS3 they looked like you're just seeing the light, but didn't have like a soft fade to it. That's a small detail. It's interesting when you're saying it's Armored Core but better looking. Armored Core went from being like on PlayStation, looking like a PlayStation game, and then from Armored Core 2 up until all the variants up into around 3 and past had this slow progression of the game slowly changing visually, like graphically, but Armored Core 4 was like this pretty big jump.
I remember, they made a huge deal about like the differences between consoles and stuff like that too.
Yeah, the lighting, but also like the scale of enemy types and stuff like that. It was where there was like a bigger jump in some ways that was exciting, and that's why 5 felt like such a. They were trying to jump into trying to make like a multiplayer game, which I would have loved if they would have executed it well enough. But first off, like nobody was playing it, which kind of sucked. It was hard to get into games when I played it, but also it like looked worse because I assume because it was multiplayer they had to like cut back on graphics, but also like the design of everything looked different. The mechs looked different. They look like more compact and like less like what Armored Core looks like, and the world was like really boring and muted looking. So that's the last thing I remember when it comes to the series. Jump forward, and not only are we seeing like just an upgrade in graphics from what I would hope would be an extension of 4, but like we're seeing a whole new From Software that's trying to touch on what they made back in the day, but bringing so many years of experience with them now that like we're getting like animations I would never expect from an Armored Core, graphics that are definitely better, but also like environments that are detailed better, just all these little details that I just would not expect. And then the bosses, I know people are really weird on this. Either they're hoping this is going to be like a Dark Souls game, or they don't even want to hear anything about Dark Souls with this game because they're, like, well, I love Armored Core. It's not Dark Souls. Yeah, me too. But it's almost impossible not to notice that the bosses now having tells and crazy attacks that they really didn't have back in older Armored Cores. I mean, I remember fighting other mechs in older Armored Cores, and there's like either zipping around the air, shooting at you and shooting missiles, stuff like that, and you're just dodging or whatever, or they're driving on the ground, shooting missiles at you or unloading at you, or whatever, and it was fun and awesome. But in this, these bosses are like, that guy's like swinging fire at you and shooting like bullet hell missiles at you while doing all these weird maneuvers and stuff, and like that helicopter
attacks at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, everything feels and looks like Armored Core, but you can see that Dark Souls pedigree, specifically in those moments in boss battles, boss fights, they're bringing that over. They're not bringing Dark Souls over or Demon Souls or Elden Ring or whatever.
No, but that experience is definitely carrying over.
But they're not letting go of that moment you get in a room and you're fighting a boss and it's like a fucking event. And so it does seem like these boss battles in this are going to feel more like events than they did in the past. The last time it really kind of felt like that was in Armored Core 4. But those are like set pieces, and this, like, it seems like it's like when you talk to somebody about like Bloodborne and they're like, oh, this is like my favorite boss fight in that game. They're gonna have the same conversations like that in this.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, that dude like did all these crazy things, like that fight was crazy, or the music that starts up, like that has a similar vibe. Also, it has a lock-on system that's kind of similar, but at the same time, I think it's actually a really interesting hybrid evolution of what we got with the past Armored Cores and that slight influence of what they've been doing. Because like the HUD here looks like Armored Core. That reminds me of Armored Core 5, which that guy in that video said it same thing with him, but now I'm seeing it in action and I actually kind of love it. It's a really good evolution, because I thought it was way too busy in 5. The UI was way too fucking busy. I hated it. And they had that circle, but it was huge back then. And this is like dynamic and moving when you lock onto things and when you don't. And it's further out. So like they've learned a lot of lessons since 5. And it seems like they're really carrying over a lot of just the best things they've learned. They're a much more competent and confident dev now. Not that they weren't back then, but they've proven themselves at this point with all the games. Yeah, exactly. So it seems like a lot of things are planned out better in this, and I have like a lot of confidence going into this game without even touching it. Whereas I remember when 5 was coming out, I was like, oh, multiplayer, that'll be cool. I like doing co-op missions, stuff like that. But I looked down, I'm like, this doesn't really look like Armored Core though. Like, what is this? Then I played, I was like, fuck, dude, I'm not really into this. But this is looking like, it looks traditional enough for me to be like, yeah, that's Armored Core for sure. But it's got all these little tweaks to it that I'm like, that's Armored Core in 2023.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just really excited to try this out. I want to, and the game's gonna come out soon, so it's like, I don't want to see anything else. I guess I don't really need to, but I'd like to see more varied mechs in combat in these previews moving forward, because in the last one we saw a super mobile one, and then one that's similar to this one, kind of a default standard mech, and in this we got that as well. This one's pretty mobile, but it has like the medium-sized legs and stuff like that. And it'd be really cool to see spider legs in combat, or the tank tread. We saw little glimpses of it in trailers, I know, but we haven't seen like a gameplay preview of those really in action, and I'd like to see how they work, because anybody who's played Armored Core before knows that there's a pretty big difference between being bipedal and having tank tread. They feel pretty different in their gameplay styles, and so I'd like to see how that translates into this new, potentially more challenging and more dynamic boss battle styled Armored Core. Like I'm really curious to see how it works, whether you'll be able to take on these bosses in like whole new ways, or if it might be better or worse just to play one way or another. I'd love to see people be able to play it any way they want, and the game allows for different ways of playing. But I would hate to, there's just like one build that's going to be the best. Like, of course, there'll be a meta at some point, but I don't want to rely on like, oh, this boss is too hard, I better just hop over to the one that works the best. So, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, really, really happy with what I'm seeing. And I think now seeing the HUD in action and that moving center lock-on thing, I think is very smart in its design, and looks really cool. And also helps you really keep track of where the dude's at. Because I remember back in the day, you like really lose them if they're like taken off. So, yeah, very cool. You anything else to say?
I can't really think of anything now.
Excited?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm calling now. I feel like, well, that's hard though, because there's other games that I feel like would be there. But I feel like this could be in my top 3 for sure this year. But we'll see, because Alan Wake and Stalker 2 and Remnant 2 and Final Fantasy 16. There's a lot of good games this year. So let us know in the comments what you guys think of Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon gameplay preview. What stood out to you? What are your thoughts on what you saw? What are some things you'd like to see that they haven't shown yet? And are you sold on this? Are you a little apprehensive? Maybe you played them in the past and you're like, this isn't quite what I was looking for. Or maybe it's exactly what you're looking for. Or maybe you're new to the series and this might be really exciting for you to finally dive into. Or maybe you're like, what's the big deal? And yeah, what kind of mech would you like to build? And we think about the boss battles. We think about the UI now that we're seeing at the HUD. And yeah, let me know what you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Armored Core 6 coming out so soon. Next month. Can't wait. Next month, right? August. All right. It's that time again where we reflect on past episodes and read your comments. If you want your comment to be read for sure, make sure to type in hashtag AskTLG. Otherwise, I read at random. And yeah, the last episode was a taste cast. That was 190, where we reacted to ID at Xbox Showcase, Helldivers 2, Payday 3, and Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash. Quick shout out. We are currently reviewing Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 over on Tasty Flicks, link down below if you'd like to see our anime reviews and sometimes movie reviews. We're doing that over there. That is currently the one obligatory show we are watching. I think we're 3 episodes into it, and we've been doing episodic reviews. We just did episode 3. A lot of shit happened there, so if you're watching that show, go check it out. All right, so let's read some comments here. First one we got, let's see, is from Challenger Games, who replied to us. Really weird that they found this video that only has 95 views. Found the part that we talked about their game and responded to us. So Challenger Games says, thanks for your reaction towards our game Second Wave. We hope you'll give it a try when it's out. This video shows our game with 9 to 10 months of development. As for the gacha, we do not have any heroes in gacha, and our shop is purely cosmetic. And you're the one who brought up the gacha aspect of it because it reminded you of something, or...
I don't even think I called it a gacha. I said I don't remember. This was like 2 weeks ago at this point, but yeah, I think I said it seemed like a gacha, but I don't think I outright called it one.
Yeah, I don't remember either. It's been a little bit, but I thought you assumed it was some other game that was like a gacha type game at first,
possibly
from mobile or something like that. But it's cool to hear from the dev who's working on it. I'm glad you guys were able to find our video and kind of give us some info on it. It makes me it's funny when a dev says something to us, it makes me want to try their game just because they reached out and said something. So I barely remember the game. I remember it's like a third person. I think I was calling it like Overwatch or something. Third person shooter, I think it was. But yeah, I vaguely remember it, and it's interesting that it's not a gacha game, but the shop is purely cosmetic. So yeah, thanks for clearing that up, and I'll have to keep an eye on that game as it gets closer to coming out, unless it's out. I don't know. I'm not sure. Thank you for the comment. Psycho Scream says, fuck yeah, Helldivers and Payday. We're on the same page, my friend. Fucking so excited for Helldivers 2 and Payday 3. They're both looking awesome. Hoping they can nail Payday 3. Helldivers 2, I think they are going to nail. Looks really good. I think you can respond to that.
No, I mean, it's just kind of a statement. So
yeah. Thank you for the comment. Next, we got the Josh 1578. Isn't that the numbers at the end? Isn't that because they do the @ thing now? Because I was like, I don't think he named himself that.
I don't think he locked in his username. So
yeah. Josh says the Skyscraper mobile game is Tiny Tower. Played that shit for days. Yeah, you were talking about a game you were playing at the last Tasty Cast that was a game you were funded, I believe, but you make like a tower and floors, and you kind of like build out and micromanage. And then I brought up that I played a game way back in the day on like iPhone 3 or something, and Josh was able to remember exactly what I was talking about, but that's not a surprise because Josh is really good about recalling shit like that, so I'm glad he was able to remember because I would have never remembered that name. So thank you. We got a comment from, what is that, Kita 1866 in I believe it's Ukrainian when I translated it, and it says it's like, well done, class. Good job. And so I told them thank you. So I'm glad you enjoyed what we did in that episode. We got another comment from Devin Walters saying, nice shave, man. It actually made you look younger. The behind my beard is it covers that I have a baby face. And so, anytime I shave, it like shaves off some years. I'm sure if Chevy shaved, he would also cut off some years from his face as well. Beards definitely have a way of making you look older. But thank you. And it feels weird. Still feels weird. And when we filmed this, I had just shaved it like a day before, and like because I hadn't shaved since 2020, my skin was so irritated just from like the difference in weight, possibly. Like my skin was like itchy, and it was really fucking weird. But we're over that. So thank you for the comment. And then the last one we got from Psycho Scream again saying, also about time you got a shave. You guys got a shave and a cut. Well, I have up in here a shitload of hair, so I didn't get it cut. You have plenty of hair. You didn't shave at all.
Yeah.
And we both got long hair, and I shaved though. So I got like about time. Like fucking just been waiting for us to do that. So thank you for the comments, everybody, and thank you for watching that episode. And I think that's everything. Got anything else you want to say before we close it out? All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Chevy, for joining me for this episode. It was a real quick and fun one, and we'll roll the outro. All right, let's go do it for this episode of Tastecast, episode 191. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on our socials and streams. Links down below. Check out our Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and the podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us in audio form, we have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel more than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you're brand new. And I have a TikTok link down below. You can watch my shorts there since I can't upload them here for some reason. YouTube hates me. I don't know. But if you liked the intro, the shorts that I did there, that's over on my TikTok. And I like to cover things that are happening right now there and have the short conversations there, have the long conversations here. So check that out. And I've been Seth. Until the next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.